Well, I'll be on here in a few minutes. If you can hear me, let me know. Live watch list session. Cocooning day. I'll look at CCCL real soon here. Got a couple of them I want to look at. I'm going to start a fresh watch list. Look at that on there. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to get me a fresh piece of paper here. Y'all can hear me, right? Give me a yay. Whoa, what's there? All right. Well, let me write these down on paper here. If I miss any of you, just go ahead and remember to repost it or say, Jimbo, give me a shot. So we're going to do CCL. I'm going to go over a couple that I like. And BCRX. Well, today's Friday. Everybody knows the market's closed. Looks like I might have a little delay here on YouTube of about 7 seconds. So as the Dow closed down, it really closed up at 285. We were up a lot higher than that. We had a couple surprises. The feds are pumping liquidity into the states. They started with 50 billion and then it turned around to be 30 billion. So that was a big thing about the news on Thursday. And then also they had the oil war going on. At first we thought we were going to get a bigger cut. Then it actually turned out not to be as big, and Mexico was causing issues. And, sometimes you just got to kind of weed out the news and just run on the tape. Vegas knows that well, and she's the black box trader in the room, and she really likes that dark pool. So we're going to look at a couple of tickers. And I want to talk about Chewy, CCL, BCRX, and got a couple that I want to look at. First, I want to look at the SPY. We're going to pull up the SPY real first here. You never know when that thing's going to go, but let me get me a nice little chart here. There, we'll just use this one right here. Take off the level 2s. We had a pretty nice little run on SPY. There's Chewy. Chewy's on a real good run. That's a good cocooning stock because people care about their pets. But let's talk about the SPY first. I don't know what to expect this coming week. I've been bullish on the economy. Well, not the economy, but the run we've had. And I'm always surprised. If it's real easy to trade right now if you follow the trends. We had a nice little breakout pre-market on this thing. We had a fold down here at the bottom right around the 270.93 area. And this is talking about the SPY. And let's pull up the 20-day chart. Just kind of get a glance at the 20-day real fast. And I'm going to go ahead and erase all this mumble jumble off here so we can start fresh. We had that low down here at 217 on the SPY. Yeah, I got my drawing tool up. Also, for people that aren't very used to charting, this is a good session for you because you're going to learn how I try to find supports, pivot points, and resistances. You know, support level is a place where you want to try to get into a trade. Pivot point is a position where it could go either way. It's trying to make up its mind if it wants to pull back to supports or if it wants to break a resistance. And you'll hear me talk about that on the 50-day Fibonacci, which is right in this little circle right here. And that's usually a pivot point area. And I usually use it on a 20-day and also use it on a daily 1 minute. And then you have your resistances, and they're the little higher places where they have a tendency of consolidating, like right here at the 263.28. You see this little right in here. You see it pull back right here. You pull back right here, so you know it's kind of a place where you would call where I'd start drawing trend lines. And that's going to be a resistance level, but from now on it's going to be a support. And I'm talking about the SPY right now. And so let's dig in here on the 20-day, and we'll look at the yearly first. Just show you the kind of ride we've had on the SPY here. We're about to that 50% retracement, and I think we about hit it. And you can see here where we had these two pullbacks here before, that was a pretty good little spot for like a pivot point area on the yearly chart. And I'm just going to draw it off these two little candles right here, try to match it up with this one right here. And we'll just bring it down just a little bit right there. So that's going to be your yearly pivot point on this chart. We've been bullish most of the year until that Corona crisis came in. And then now we had that big, huge sell-off, and here we are. A lot of people missed out on this because they were afraid to get into the trade. Now on the Dow, let me pull this up. There it is. Look at the Dow Jones. I'm going to go ahead and erase all this mumble jumble on here too. Start fresh. So Dow Jones has bounced off that 200 many a times, but then finally that sell-off came and we dipped all the way down to this 1800 level, 18,000. Now, Vegas and I called a 20,000 support when we were up here. I'd say more or less it's going to come back to 20,000. Then I had two other targets. I had an 18,000 and then a 15,000 retracement. 15,000 because I was kind of going off the 27, 28 crash we had where we pulled back from 12,000 to 6,000. And I'm kind of taking that in consideration, about a 50% retracement. And that's about what we got here on the yearly from this bottom right here. We did pull back. So, 50% is where we're going to find a little resistance at, I do believe. And we could have a little correction, maybe a pullback to right around this 22 on the Dow, right here around 22,638.73 is going to be like a solid support to me. And I'm going to thin these out a little bit, make this a little bit smaller, turn that into a red line because that's going to be a serious support level right there at 22,638.73. And we have another little one right up in here, right around, this is on the Dow, right about that 23,160 with a resistance, another one right in here, and maybe another one right there, and another one right here. I want to get that pretty precise. Then we have a long one right here, right around the 25. I don't think we're going to get to the 25. The world's come to a complete halt. We've had a pretty nice little run, but they keep pumping this liquidity into the market, and then the oil deal is another catalyst for it to run up. And some of these could already be in the trade already. So let's go back to the SPY right now. Try to find a couple little more supports right here. 274.01, and then another one right down here right around the 269. Now I'm basing this on a daily candle wick, and I use the base of the candles to try to find supports and resistances. and I look for them to consolidate. I'm just not looking at one candle, I'm looking at more than one. So we're going to pull this up to a 20-day. We had doji close on Friday. So that's what you call doji. And I'll magnify that up. For ones that aren't familiar with candles, that's a pretty, they could tell us that we're still bullish or bearish. But it could pull back to the 74.01 where we had this double top on these 2 days on the base. So we're going to call that a pretty solid support there at 274.01. Now let's pull this up to a 20-day. And look at it real fast. Jamie, we miss you too, man. You need to get back in the room. So we've got a 280.42 right here for a resistance level. You see how they kind of line up? Just on the 20-day, just by looking at a daily chart, looking at a daily candle. Let's see how that lines up right there. Pretty perfect. And how they kind of lined up right here, pretty good. Where that big candle right here broke out. You see that? That's a pretty good little spot. So we're going to magnify, we're going to bring it back to life here. I've had a real beautiful run on this from the bottom here in the last, 2-3 weeks. It's consolidated, pulled back a little bit. So this previous high that we had right here could be a solid support. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that in there. And I'm going to draw another one right here where we had this breakout on Monday morning or Thursday morning. Then you see we dip down right into close. This is a very important time for when Vegas is looking at the charts. She's been practicing and timing this 15-minute to close area for maybe a bounce back up after the pullback, because people are going to want to take their profit. We did have a 3-day weekend, which a lot of people do sell and kind of be all cash because you never know what's going to come out on the weekend. So we've got a solid support right here, and I'm going to turn that into a red line at 274.01 because I like that. We'll keep that at 2. Whoa, didn't do it. Have to go back here again. There we go. Now she'll pull up. So this is a SPY. And we're going to look at the daily and just show you the kind of run we had it on the daily 1 minute. We had a huge breakout, and that was time to probably take your profit. We did have a lower support level right down here at the 277. We touched it a couple of times. I come across that line right here because we hit there, and we hit there. Also, the moving averages that I'm using right now are the 200, and these are EMAs. The 200, we got the 100, we got the 34, and then we got the one in the blue, which is the 9. A lot of traders get out when it starts to fail that 9, and I usually like to find a support level at the 200. And this is something I talk about a lot on the daily 1 minute. That 200 EMA is a strong support level, and if it does break it, you could be looking for a deeper dip, and that's what we had right here. If you notice here on the 200. It did bounce up and hit that 34 or that 100, but it also was still showing disrespect with that 9, and then it just kept on selling off, and then we got what we got by the end of the day. And then here comes, the last 15 minutes of the day where it pulled back again to that 277 and bounced right up off of it. And then we had an ascending triangle, maybe an upper wedge right here into after hours, and it held pretty good, so that's kind of a good sign. You could expect a little pullback maybe to this 277 on the SPY, and then break the resistance level, and that's going to be right around, I'm going to say maybe right around here. I'm just going off this high we had during market hours. Miss Vegas always says, it's not what happens after hours, it's what takes place during the market day from open time to close. So that 278 is going to be like a little pivot point in this channel. And the resistance that we're going to have to break if it decides to go up. There are some bears thinking next week's going to be bearish, but we just follow the tape and follow the mood of the market. So that's SPY, and I just wanted to start off with that one because we watch that quite a bit. And I want to welcome everybody to the room that's here watching, all 19 of you. You know, share your friends that I do this live about I want to try to keep doing it every week. And I want to talk about tickers that you're interested in, plus tickers that I might be interested in. And I'm going to pull up a watch list now. My top 10%. Don't want to see that one. There we go. This is what I kind of played off last week. SPY and CCL is the next one we're going to talk about. TBLT, we called in the video last week. It pulled back to my support, and we had a nice little breakout on that one. I'm also watching this XPXS, IWM, XPXL. These are bull and bear trades on the S&P, that XPSS. I'll get this out of the way. See, when the market is bullish, SPY, this stock will be bearish. Just vice versa with the XPXL. When the S&P is bullish, this will also be bullish. And this is one that you could also play options in. But the SPY is probably the best indicator. You know, we had a good eye on Boeing last week. Boeing's always one to watch on a pullback. You know, they're in trouble too. Everybody's in trouble. I'm even feeling the pain myself through some of the jobs that I have, but you know, I hope we get around it. We got a little resistance level right here on Boeing at 156. I almost pulled back to that support that I had here at the 150.69. You know, it double bottomed right here into close at 150.54. Had a pretty hard sell off. You know, you always got to remember, do your own homework, have your own plan. Don't take other people's trades, just take their ideas and mix them in with your mumble jumble and try to make a trade for yourself. I tell everybody to have 5 rules to go by. You got to have 5 rules, each to their own. You know, if you come up with a plan, you'll become a lot better trader in the long run. But it's good to formulate with a team, to have mentors. You know, if you have some mentors that you really appreciate, that watch how they trade. When you start trading, just for beginners, just start paper trading. Do it for 2 or 3 months until you finally feel like you've found a groove or you've set a certain criteria of rules. You know, 5 rules. Jot down 5 rules that you need to go by. And I'll tell you my 5 rules a little bit later on. But I'm probably one of the I'm good at the trend line method. And I can go back 2 or 3 years using the same trend lines that I've used today. You know, I say, well, this is 2018 trend line that I'm using. This year's trend lines are in white. So let's go to CCL. It's going to be Boeing is one to always keep on your watch list. And then I'm going to move this so I can read some of the board here. Can you discuss my 5 rules? Yes, I will. And I got a video out on the 5 rules too, and I'll post it in the comment section down below after I'm done with this video, done with this session. So let's go straight to CCL. You know, CCL had some big issues. They didn't get into the bailout plan, but we did catch the bottom on it. We were pretty smart about it. I kind of was a little lenient, you know, just kind of getting over that threshold of trying to find the bottoms on these stocks. Now I'm going to pull up the 20-day and you'll see what I'm talking about. We had a double bottom here was an indicator that we could probably bounce here right around the $8 level. And I'm going to clear this up so we can get a better look at it and we'll start fresh. I've got the Fibonacci set up on here. You can find this under studies. And if you type in Fibonacci or auto Fibonacci, you can just type in Fibonacci right here, FIB if you have TOS, and you go to auto, double click that and it'll set up over here, hit apply and OK, and you're set. And that Fibonacci will automatically set up for you. It has, you know, the zero, and this is on a 20-day. If I changed it to just like a daily 1 minute, the Fibonacci's are set for that daily 1 minute. And then I can just go ahead and draw my trend lines. And this is my game plan. You know, you've got to have 5 rules to go by. 5 rules. So the CCL hit that double bottom. Let's go back to the 20-day. You see this double bottom here we had right here and we had right here. So we're going to probably take it to I'm going to draw it right on the base of this candle right here. And that's where my first support is going to be right there at 795 is when we called it out in the room last week. Let me magnify this up. Now this is something that we've had a pretty good little 1 week run on it. We did pull back into close, and that only did that a couple of times. And the chart that I'm using here is called a TTM squeeze. And I've got it set up to where I'm thinking, and this is good for beginners. And, you know, I've been using this for the last couple of years. I've used it for quite a while, but I've started really I just like the color of the charts, and I use them with my moving averages. So the trend was going down, and all of a sudden you see the green candles are just starting to go up. And we had that huge breakout right here, which, wow, you know. And then for the next week, we kind of consolidated at that area. And then we had a resistance level right here, right around the 1364. We did have a high, and let me pull this back up on the 20-day. I want to look at the 20-day high we had, and that was right up around here where we had a double top. You see that? Kind of a triple top, if you'd want to call it that. And when a triple top starts to fail, you'll probably be a good idea to go ahead and get out of the trade. A lot of traders do with triple top. If it doesn't break that triple top, take your money and run. There's another clue. And I'm a chart reader and pattern reader. I like to read patterns. Patterns are, you know, probably, I tell the room, I said, patterns is what you really need to know. It'll improve your trading 50%, if not 100. We got another support level right here on the 20-day where we kind of held, and that was an ascending triangle, fake out, where she kind of pulled back during pre-market, and then we had the big breakout. And when I'm talking about an ascending triangle, I'll show you what one of them babies look like. We'll draw a trend line right here, and then you have that horizontal line right here to right about there. And it could have squeezed out a little bit more, but it went ahead and broke out that day. And usually when you get a breakout before the squeeze actually happens, it should have probably went on all day long and kind of closed right in here, but it didn't. We had 1, 2, 3 tops, and then that time it pulled back that last time to that trend line. And I got that trend line right here. See, I just follow the bases of the candles. You know, to me, the wick of a candle is a lot weaker and not as strong as them bases. So if you draw the trend line on the base, and that's where you don't want to fail, and that's what happened right here on this candle right here. We hit that base, and then bam, you know, we had that big breakout on it. That's a $3 breakout, almost $4 breakout. It actually was a $4 breakout. And when you see a big engulfing candle like that, it's time to take your money and run. And then we had that little, what I call is, some call it a gravestone. A gravestone, and then when you have the wick on top or the base on top, they call that a dragonfly. But on a gravestone candle, you could probably expect a sell-off. And I'll make that a little bit bigger, but that's right here. And then when this next candle came in and couldn't break above that, that created a resistance. And that was time to go ahead and probably get out of the trade. So let's get back here and see if I can find any more support levels and resistances. We got a support level right down here on this candle right here. We're going to go ahead and, I need to go ahead and put that dollar thing on here. Right there. And then we're going to try to find one more support. I don't think it's going to get back down to here, but it can. And if it does start to show some divergence down, keep an eye on the volume. And keep an eye on what indicator that you use to determine if you want to get in or out of a trade. We like to use the tape. That's over here, the time and sales, and also watch the level 2, and I pay attention to the news. This is how my chart's set up every day when I'm looking at them. I want to know the news that's popping up. I want to keep an eye on that level 2 to see if we got a big spread. You know, the spread, the wider the spread, the less I want to get into it. The tighter the spread is the more I want to get into it. Then we have the time and sales, and you can tell on the tape how big the blocks are, and that's where the dark pool comes in. And you're going to have a lot of big trades coming in on CCL Thursday. A lot of big trades, over 50,000 at a time. So the resistance that we got to break on CCL is this 1364. The low support is definitely down here under $8. And that first one, if it pulls back, that's probably where you're going to bounce off of, will be right at $11. If it pulls back to 11, I'd probably see a place where it probably could bounce back up to this channel. And that's going to be a hard resistance at 1364. If it does break, we can get a little bit higher, maybe up to about probably 1484. Then you've got your $16 level. That's going to be another hard resistance. With if it does hit 18, get out of the trade. Now there were some bulls on this trade here, and I wrote in stock to it. So I said, if there's something I'm missing, I think this thing's going to pull back. And look what happened. You know, I mean, we had a real big retracement on that from 18 all the way down to 760 on the puts. And then we created that double bottom, and that's where she started to go up, started to bounce up. So that's CCL. I hope that helped you out some. Let's look at another one now. What do we got here? You know, in case I miss it, we got BCRX, Alex. We'll check that one out. BCRX, and then I'm going to do Chewy. BCRX. Now, just take this with a grain of salt. This is just how I look at them and how I decide. And everybody knows the biggest catalyst right now to have on your watch list is a Corona watch list. And we've seen this, I've seen this over and over and over and over with trends. You know, we had the financial boom where the banks ran. We had the marijuana sector run. We had the Bitcoin era, and now we have the Corona era. And we have like the big caps era. And you want to stick with stocks that have a good balance sheet. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft. Boeing doesn't have a balance sheet. It's a momentum play. But ones with the best balance sheets are the ones that you really want to have on your watch list, besides having a good Corona watch list. So I always like to look at the news first and see what actually is making this stock run. Yep, see, Corona. Corona, right there, Corona. Stock rallies to start a Corona drug study. So, and here, what they have here, up 30% to 270 after hours. Be conducted in Brazil under U.S. investigation on new drug application, BCRX. And they're fast tracking these trial runs. You know, they're fast tracking them. They're FDA approval faster than any other drug ever, because this is a world issue. So we know Corona's in the news. We know it had a beautiful breakout. Let's pull up the yearly chart on BCRX and see where we've been. Oh, look up here. You know, I also want to look to see if there's any splits or any offerings. You know, there's different kind of offerings that can make a trade run. I want to check the low float. Now, for ones that aren't familiar on how to look for a low float, let me see here. I got to get another page up, so I'm going to erase a few things here. I'm going to pull this up just for a second. I'm going to click me on a new window. Now, when I'm looking at a float of a stock, I never pay no mind to Ameritrade because they're, let me say the word, pathetic when it comes to the float. So I like to look up FinViz. And I'll automatically type in that ticker, BCRX. And the low float stocks, you know, this here has 152 million. Shares afloat, 152 million. So FinViz is always a good reference tool when it comes to looking for floats. I'll move that over here. And it looks to me like I was looking at this already. So let's go ahead and erase these two lines. Well, let me see why I got them on here first. I think I was looking for a resistance level. And maybe I was calling that a yearly pivot point. Now, I would probably say that yearly pivot point is probably a little bit lower, right about down in here. Right about there at the 290 area. So I'm going to keep these two on here. And I'm just going to find, and this sucker can run all the way up to 427 if the momentum still kicks in. BCRX. We have another one right in here, right around, and I'm looking over here at these two tops we had. I'm going to draw a trend line right there. Then I'm going to draw another one right here. And I want to see how these line up when I pull up that 20-day. Another one right there. I got that from right in here. See those two mountains right there? So let's go ahead and pull up. And I'm almost tempted to make them lines a little smaller on my next go around. 20-day. So we had a support level right here. We have one right here. Now this popped up after hours. Okay. Expect maybe a pullback on it, and I'll try to find another support level here, right there. I'm using, you know, the bases, how we topped up right there, how we kind of topped up in here. Then we'll just pull up the 3-minute, daily 1 minute. Had a huge breakout after hours. It ran, hit a double top up here. I'm using the base of the candle on the daily 1 minute for support levels, and I'm going to do the same thing right down here. Now, I've got two support levels I want to use on a daily 1 minute. It's either going to be this 200 EMA, it'll bounce off at 273 on a daily 1 minute, or it'll hit this right here, and it's almost a 50% retracement. You see that? A lot of these breakouts, and I talk about this quite a bit, we did have a lower high, and we do have a pennant flag right here. That's called a pennant flag, and I'll draw that out in a second. But that 50% retracement, you could be looking at right around this 252 area for a low support. And I'm going to go ahead and chalk that in with red. Now that might be a good entry. This spot right in here. I always look for a 50% retracement on a big breakout. And you see where that Fibonacci started right here. That zero Fibonacci that's over here on the left. The 50% retracement, which is right around the 252 area, or it'll bounce off this 200 EMA, or it'll come to this next support level where we had this bottom right here. And that's going to be a solid second support. Your first support's probably going to be right here at 273 or off that 200. And then we got the 38% retracement right here where we bottomed out right there, right around the 265. And then you have the 50% retracement. I hate to see it go any lower than this right here. And that price level is right around the 252, 250 area. With a resistance that we got to break the double top, which will turn into a triple top at 302 and bring it up higher to these other two resistance levels. And always remember, when you're looking up for resistance levels, go to that look at the yearly chart, and that top could bring it all the way to 427. That's BCRX. I hope that helped you out, my friend Alex. And I'm going to talk about Chewy. Now, cocooning stocks is what you got to be thinking about. You got to think about Corona, COVID-19, CHWY. Anybody know what they do? I got 2019 trend lines on here right now, these blue ones. We did have a nice little high right here at 42.69. And I'm going to go off the base of that candle right there at 42.64. Right there, 42.62. That's going to be our hard resistance. Let me go back to the yearly here. This is Chewy, CHWY. We have a support level right here. And we have another one right here on that daily candle right here, right around the 37 area. Maybe one right here off this wick. No, it's not going to do it. So we'll go to the 20-day now. It's going to be a beautiful run. Look at that. All the way down from 22.75 all the way up to 43.15. So fresh in my mind. And look where this stock stopped right here on the 2019 trend line at 39.08. You see how that base stopped right there? That's pretty solid. So we're going to turn that into a red one. That's going to be your solid support. I don't want to see it go no lower than 39 bucks. If we go below 39 bucks, we're breaking trend. We're breaking support. We did have a lower high right here too. And when you have a lower high on the next day, you expect a sell-off. And that's what we had. We had a lower high. Then we had a consolidated area right in this channel right here where it consolidated on the pullback. I'm going to draw that right in there. So that's going to be your lowest low support. But I want to see this 39 hold. And if that 39 holds, you could have a retracement bounce up to 43.50. Now, they're getting a lot of business because I know a lot of people that order their stuff, order their pet stuff from this company. I never did. I always like to go in there and take my dog into the store, but can't do that these days. You have to wait out in the parking lot. Usually call in your order and they'll come out and deliver it to you. And we got a support level right here off these two candles right here. That's where I'm going to call that. And then your next one's going to be right down here. So we had some pretty nice little candles. These are beautiful. These are, I mean, when you're following a trade like this, and this is on an hour, it's still showing to me with every base of the candle above each one. Then we started seeing a little weakness here. We have a little fat doji right here. And then when it pulled back to that bottom part of that candle on that hour. Still bullish. And she ran up, and look at her, every one of them bases. I mean, that's just a beautiful run we had on this Friday. I was talking to a guy, and he said it was a bearish day, Thursday, I mean. And I said, no, not what I was looking at. Because every ticker I was looking at had a breakout almost, and then held most of the day. So let's go back here. We got a low support at 39. We've got probably a channel of support right in here between the 40.23 and the 41.38 with a resistance to break at 43.34. Pull up the yearly chart one more time, and that's a yearly high. Let's pull up the 3-year. That's a 3-year high. So the next resistance that we got to get to is that going to be that 43.34 if we can break it. Low support 39. Let me pull this back up to the daily. 39 is going to be a strong buy. Then we have this little area right in here between the 50% retracement on the daily, which is going to be right around the $40 area. That's going to be your third support. Your second one's going to be right here, right around 41.38. And then this one right here, the 41, look at that. See that 41.91, look what it run right into, at 200. See, that's a second confirmation to me that that's a solid support. So that's going to be our second support. And then our first one, of course, is just going to be right here at 42.57, right into close. And that's going to be CHWY. So how does that grab you? Let me see what's next. And who asked? Oh, I had someone in the room asking me about that one, so I just wanted to bring up Chewy. Okay, good morning, Jim. The input on BR, got that one. Microsoft, MSFT. They're going to have good earnings, Chewy is. I have to give my hats off to Bill Gates. He kind of predicted something like this was going to happen a few years back, and it did. But I never thought that they would shut the whole world economy down. And this could cause some real big issues. America will transform. I think we'll become a financial institution of the world, which we already are, but I think it'll be bigger now. People will be working at home more. So, and people are buying more computers now. They're buying webcams. So there's been an uptick in sales in computers because they're wanting to update their homes and work from home. So let's pull up the yearly chart on Microsoft. Let's go ahead and get rid of all this crap. We'll be cleaning up a lot of charts today. We had a low support down here, yearly low of right around the 119 double bottom. Right there at 119. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit, 119.80. We have a pivot point here on this chart. I'd say probably right around here. I'm looking right in here for a pivot point on the year at 141.54. We had a huge sell-off on it, and we've had to run like everything else where it ran on up. And then we had the 50% retracement right here, and I'm going to go ahead and draw this right in here as we see this little breakout right here close to that 50% retracement on the yearly chart. Then we had it high, and I'm going to bring this up right there at 169 something. We had another one right in here. See how they line up with these two other candles. They are a little bit lower. I'll put another one right here and another one right here. Tells me a lot right there. I'll magnify this up a little bit more now. And then we'll have one more right down here for a low support with a resistance to break. And then we got a gap fill right here. We have a little gap fill right in here. So that's going to be a hard resistance. We had to try to hit up here again, and it did, and it failed and pulled on back. So at 174, if it wants to get up that high. Now this is Microsoft. Let's go to the 20-day, see if I missed anything. Pretty much spot on. Pretty much spot on. But I'm going to draw one right in here. This, well, we had that on that base of that candle right there at 166. There we go. Welcome to everybody that's new to the room. I'm Washboard Jim. I'm second to best to Miss Vegas that's in the room. And she'll be posting stuff in here too. No, I can't hear you, Miss Vegas. I don't have the headset on. Let me see here. If you want to speak, I'll go ahead and turn on the headset. Maybe we can get you in here. Well, I guess I can hear you. I can't. So let me put on my headset. Make a few switches here. Give me just one moment. Okay. Say something if you want, Miss Vegas. Can y'all still hear me? Let me know. Hello. All right. Okay, so I got the mic on for Miss Vegas if she wants to speak. I wasn't able to hear her earlier. I'm probably talking over her. So let's get back to Microsoft. We got a pullback right here to 163.45. That's where we had that double top. So that's going to be like your second support level. I'm going to turn that into a red line. Oh, didn't do it. Then you got that first support, right, third support, second support right down here at 160. That's going to be right here. Then that third one's going to be right here where we had that top, where we had that consolidated channel. So that's going to be my low, low, low support channel, and I'm going to turn that into a right there. That's going to be my low support. Now let's pull this up to a daily 1 hour. We don't see that on there. Pull it up to the 10-day, 30-minute. Okay, Microsoft. Strong buy in this 152 to 155, 156 area. Your next support's going to be right down in here, probably your third one, right there at 158. Let me turn this back on here. Right about there, 158.67. I love this little breakout right here where it hit that, and we're on a 30-minute chart right here. And this went on for about an hour and a half where it couldn't break it, and then finally, bam. So this little channel is going to be your second support channel. And I'm looking at it like this because, you know, you never tell how she's going to run. We're definitely bullish on Microsoft. If you can not buy at resistance and be patient with it, let it fall back into these other two channels, you'd have you a nice trade. So that 160 to 162 area is going to be your second support, and then that red line is going to be your first one at 163.45. The resistance that it couldn't break yet here at the 166, and maybe bring it up to this other channel for a double top right around the 170 area, 169, 170. Low support. And you're willing to stop this video at any time and write these numbers down, copy and paste these charts for your own personal reference. And that's Microsoft. Low support, no lower than 152, 155. Second support channel, 160 to 162. First one I like to see hold here at 163.45 with a catalyst to break it at 166.55 with a double top long between 169.60 and 170.50. If we can break that, that'll be sure nice. You can't hear me, Richard. You should be able to. So the next one we're going to talk about, what about gold? Gold will do good when the market's green. So we got MRKR. We'll look at that one next. Whoop. She's not talking yet. MRKR. Okay, let's see what kind of news it has here. Oh, blood purification device for corona patients. So it's got Corona News. Roach obtains FDA emergency use. Oh, that roach stock, that's something you want to watch. You have to, I forgot, it's a 5-letter ticker, ROCHE. I'm going to write that down. Let me see if it comes up on the thing here. Well, we'll look at that one a little bit later. Yeah, so, authorized blood purification device. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the pot plays because there's different connections with Corona. It's just not the Corona blood test or the test kits, or it gets into the respirators, the masks, the clothing that you have to wear. There's just all kinds of things that anything with the name Corona on it will make it run. So it's definitely got Corona News, but it's just not really popped off the news yet. So let's look at you look at the yearly first. I'm talking about MRKR. Down here at the bottom, it's just not popped up like it should have. It's just not popped up like it should have. So we've got a resistance that we got to break here at 195. Let me put this up here. I'm going to take me a drink of water here in a second. 195, 240, we got a gap here. We're at 227 and maybe right here. Right about there. We'll pull up the 20-day chart. Those are the resistance levels that we need to get to. Then we have a solid support right down here. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit to right about there. And that was at the 169 level with a lower support right down here at 161. Then on the 20-day, let's just take it right here because that's where that candle hit right there. That could be a pretty strong support at 150. So if you're not in the trade, you notice we've had lower highs here. That's not a good sign. That's a descending pattern. And I want to draw that in a trend. And descending means it's going down. And we've kind of gone down a little bit and it'll start squeezing. And when we get tighter to that squeeze, and we'll just call it off this one right here, 169. So probably in about a day, unless it dips down below here, I'm going to say that 150 is going to be a strong buy on MRKR to bring it back up to resistance levels. And that resistance level will be, for your first one, will be from the 150 to the 170 area if it breaks below this descending triangle. Right now that's a negative sign. It could drop on down because it wasn't at a bottom. Now if you saw this at a bottom maybe and we hit a double bottom, it could retrace back up. So we've got a low support at 150 with about a 161 second. That first one needs to hold here at 169, and the resistance that we need to break is going to be right in here at 188. Right there. Right there where this candle is. That's going to be 188 to 196, and that's going to be your hard resistance. And if we can break 203, we'll get up to these higher levels. But for right now, you look at the trade as a descending pattern, that it can pull back to this 150, and that resistance level, if it does, is going to be your first one, and you need that 170 to break. Now if it decides to squeeze here in another day and it go ahead and finishes out, which will probably be Monday, it can dip or it can bounce up off the 170 up here to the 188 area, maybe up here to 196. And then we got to break that 203, and that's mark. RHHBF, is that? Yeah. So let's write that down. That's one you want to watch. Thank you, William. Appreciate that. We'll look at that here in a second. So that's MRKR. I'll call it Mark. Let's see what else we got going on here. Pins. Pins. Okay. George, we're going to look at pins. You know, if I get your names wrong, please forgive me. Pins had great earnings. Pins was a good opportunity when it pulled back to this lower level here at 10 bucks. I didn't see it. I would have been all over this trade. I'm telling you, I would have been all over this trade at 10 bucks. There's no doubt. Vegas has this on one of her hot stocks for the year, but with Corona, you know, everything got affected. And it's a new IPO. Not new, but it, you know, it's just it is a recent one that came out. So let's clear all this mumble jumble here, because I ain't talking about them anymore. 50% retracement, a perfect pivot point for the year. You see how we pulled back right here? Yeah, that's going to be your solid pivot point on the year. So that's going to be like a resistance level that we want to take this to. We also want to try to find some support levels. It's kind of, to me, Pins is the new Facebook. And we do have a link on our YouTube, on our website, and we do have a what I want to look at. What happened to my link here? We'll make another one, I guess. Oh, there it is on the other side over here. Let's look at let's see how many are on the float on Pins. We have 336 million float on Pins. And on our website, just type in I love stocks. You get the landing page. Always remember, subscribe. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell to this YouTube channel for future updates. Also, here on the web page, we have a link to the Twitter page. Follow that. If you have a Twitter account, hit that follow button. And we also have our StockTwits page. If you have a StockTwits account, you can follow us there. We post ideas. This is Miss Vegas's. And mine's right below it. You know, like I said, I'm second best to her. We have Pinterest. There's our Pins thing. If you have a Pins, you can follow that. And we also have a store. We have the YouTube channel. So if you ever want to go to our website, you can automatically go to the YouTube and look at some previous videos. I have some educational videos in here. Plus we have some other, we do a Sunday's watch list, and I try to do, you know, a single ticker watch list also myself. And then also we have a store if you ever wanted to buy any merchandise of I Love Stocks. So that kind of little promotion right there. We'll go ahead and get that out of here and go back to Pins. So we got a resistance level right here at 1742. It's got a little gap that we'd have to get up to. We did have a dragonfly, a gravestone doji right here. Right there, and she went ahead and fell on back. So let's see where else we got. We got another resistance level right here at 1890. And now, if you're going to look for a support level to get in, maybe it's going to be right down here at this 1541 area. That's going to be your solid low support. I'm going to turn that into a red line. I like to see that hold. I don't want to see it go no lower than that 1541. If it does, it can go down to this other gap here at 1428. I drew another little trend line off this candle right in here. So let's pull up the 20-day on Pins. 50% retracement was the pivot point on the year. Now I got the same that I showed you earlier, how to pull this up. And for the new ones in the room, I'll also show you again. So solid support right here at 1541, a strong buy at 1428, with a resistance to break here at 1761, and then at first support no lower than 1614. I want to see that hold, create a new channel. If not, it'll pull back into this other channel. So that 1614 is very important on pins, with a resistance to break here at 1766. And the next one we're going to talk about, let me see, IBIO. And I got IMAC. Let me get to IMAC. IMAC. Now if I'm going to here at the end, I didn't actually see what time I started this. I'm going to think around an hour ago. So I'm going to do this for another hour. And right now we're just about 12:24 my time. So we're going to remove all this. She's had a nice breakout on the 20-day. Let me look at the yearly. Nice. Oh man, up here $5. Pretty nice little breakout, ain't it? And she had a big, huge retracement. So I want to see what the news is about. It's about sales. I don't see any Corona news in here. She's been paused a lot. Look at that. I mean, this goes back 324. All them pauses. I mean, that's ridiculous. This stock don't want you to move much. EPS 84 cents down from 47. That's not good. Sales were up huge, up about 9 million. So that's a big deal. I want to pull up the website. Take just a look at the website real fast. That ain't gonna work. I have to kind of trick it sometimes. Always when you're in a hurry, right? It's a holdings company. Authorized retail clinic. So it's a medical clinic. Facilities and medical doctors. So yeah, that's probably why it's in the news. St. Louis area. I'm just right down here from St. Louis, right there in Springfield. Find a clinic. So yeah, okay. I got some kind of idea what this is all about. So we got a support level here at 135, and that's about where it hit. Set pullback right here, and I'm thinking no lower than this candle right in here. Right about 114 is going to be a solid low support. So let's pull this up to the 20-day, get rid of this news. Okay, so another resistance right here. This is on a 20-day chart. We had that huge breakout, and then she's pulled back into a descending pattern. We're starting to see a little support level here at 135 all last week. So we need to break that 162 area. If we can break 162, and it looks like we kind of did it after hours. Let's pull up the 1 minute. Yeah, we got up to 165, so that's what we need to break. If we can get past that, we've got a support level off this 200 EMA on a daily 1 minute. We're right down here at 147. Then another one right here. So let's look at 135, maybe this channel of support level 135, 138. This is on IMAC. No lower than that or you're going to fail. That second support level is going to be right here at 147. That first one's going to be in this channel right here between 154 and 157. Now, let's get rid of this. Just go up here. Right there at 158. So that's going to be your first channel of support between 154 and 158 with a resistance to break at 165. And if we can break that 165, we can take it to 191 and maybe that 210 area. And then it's really going to have some mustard to get up to the higher levels. And I want to do one other thing on this. What happened to my FinViz? Being a low floater, yeah, this is a low float stock, 5.2 million. So it can have a little volatility to it. I'm gonna pull up this 21 day one more time. Low support 135 to 138. Second 147. That first channel right in here at 154. 158 with a resistance to break to the 165, then you can break it up to them higher resistance levels. That's going to be IMAC. And the next one we're going to look at is IBIO. Gold, I think, will run along with the market going green because nobody, gold's not a safe investment anymore to me. It's just buying these dips on the stock. Nobody has any money to buy gold but that 1%. IBIO is next. I think that's another low floater. She had a nice breakout pre-market to 115, pulled back to 93. So let's look at the 20-day. 84 is going to be your low support. I think I called this out in the room the other day. And the resistance that we got to break is going to be right here, right around the 107. So you got a low support there at the 84. Got to hit the 93. And if we can break the 93 and go up to 107, you can get to that next resistance level. It's going to be right here, right around the 122. I'm going to turn that into a red line. IBIO. Low float, pretty sure of it. I mean a low float. No, it ain't either. 92 million. Oh yeah, this is the one that I got in for Thursday morning. Took a $10 loss. This is a hard one to trade. Hard one to trade. But if you can get down in here to 84, you should be able to take it back up to this 107 area. And that's the channel you want to look for. It'll take some real good news. I think it did have news Thursday. And then you can ring it up to these higher resistance levels. But it did fail pre-market. I took a little small loss on it, and then I just forgot about it the rest of the day. So 84, 93, and then you got to break that dollar to get it to 107, and maybe this 115, and real hard to get up here to that 122. But if you can get in at 84 and hold it, I think you'll be doing fine to get the next bounce. IBIO. And let's see what else we got to look at. Okay, RHHBFF. That's Roach. This has got that FDA stuff going on. And then I'm going to look at a few that I'm watching. RHHBFF. I don't know if it's too many tickers. BF. Yeah. This is a high dollar ticker, right? This would be a good one for an options play. So I'm drawing a few trend lines in here. Right about there. So we got a low support at 289. I'm just looking at the 20-day. If it gets down here to this 289 area, I think it's a strong buy. Then we got that third support right around here, right around 300. Then another one right here, right at the 306. I'd like to see 312 hold. If it does pull back to that 312. Let's pull up the daily now. Go to the 10-day. Where are you, honey? Okay, low support at 300. Resistance to break here at 325. And maybe it could pull back to this 200, I'm not sure. But I think that 312 is going to be a real strong buy. It's kind of a hard one to figure out. So here's your support levels. 312, 315, and maybe it's 317 for your first support channel between 317 and this 319.61 with a resistance to break at 325. That's RHHBF, and that's definitely a good Corona play for the high dollar tickers. And also, test kits are the ones you want to be watching. Let's look at CODX and see what's going on with it. It had a pull back all week, kind of curving back up with the head and shoulders right here, with the right shoulder up a little bit. So we got to break that 904 resistance to get it up to back to 942 with a 38% retracement on a 10-day here at 38.20. And I'm going to pull up the 20-day just to have a little look. Yeah, we found some pretty hard resistance areas up here right around the 11 area. And a solid support right down in here at that 851. So if it pulls back to that, that's pretty good. If it definitely pulls back to 806, that's going to be a strong buy. The resistance that we have to break is going to be that $10 level. If you can break that $10, you can bring it back up here at 1126. And I'll probably want to exit. And if it's still got the momentum, get some hot news, 1186 at the most. But that's going to be CODX. And I'm going to clear this out. Take one more look at it, where it's easier to read. Yeah, right here at the 862. Support there at 803. Resistance to break is going to be at 939. And then you've got a strong resistance here at 981 to that $10 level. And if you can break that, the new buyers will come in and bring it back up here to where it needs to be, right around 1130. So 803, 862, resistance to break at the 939. And if you can get it up to 10, we can see new highs between 1062 and maybe at 1130. That's CODX. Netflix. Oh, what about JMOFF? That's a new one to me, so let's look at it. JMOFF. Hope we're all enjoying ourselves. Oh, not the right ticker. I think, Jacob, you got the right ticker up there? JMOFF. I don't see it. NFLX, Netflix, cocooning stock. You heard about Disney last week. Let's talk about Disney here next. 50 new viewers. I had to call on that one. Well, that was a sweet one. That was a sweet play. Under $100. Okay. Had a nice little run out there on this one Monday, and then she had a descending pattern for the rest of the week. Losing my voice. Okay, we got a low support down here on this one if it drops down to that 356 area. Actually, I'm going to leave looking right in here. Right there at 359. This has been all over the table here. Let's pull up that 20-day now. Take another look at it. We've had a higher high on this last breakout. She has pulled back a little bit, so it's probably starting to get ready to curve back up. We have low support right down here between the 366 and the 367.26 area. That's going to be your low support that has to hold. Right about there. And the first area is going to be right in here, right about, God darn it, I hate it when that happens. Right there. Somewhere in there. Somewhere between that and that. Actually, I like that better. That spot right in there. That 369 area. So your first low support needs to hold here at 366 to 367.26. That second one's going to be right here at 369.12. That first support at 370 with a resistance to break at 372. And if you can break that 372, you can bring it up to 374, maybe up into this little channel right in here at 376, and then along at 379. And if you break that, that's going to be a gift. But low supports are going to be at 366, and that's Netflix. And the next one we're going to talk about, JNUG, gold. Now JNUG is one that you want to scalp. It has had a nice bounce. We called it down here at $3 a couple weeks ago. Right below $3, $3.90. I think someone in the room can remember that when I was talking about the triple bottom on the 20-day. So let's pull up the 10-day and see if we can get a little better picture of it. Nice breakout. You notice how green the week was, and look at how this thing took off. So that's what I'm saying. To me, when the market is green, the gold stocks have been running because we're at a bottom. So everything else is going to follow that path. Right there is going to be a support level. Got another one right here, right in this area. Another one right here at this area. And another one right here. And then we got a resistance to break. We're setting up into an ascending triangle. on a 2-day, a steep one, which is getting ready to break out again. If we have a green week. Now, if we have a red week, it can pull back to this 536. Right there, you see that descending triangle? Between the horizontal line of 615 it's hard to say where the support level is right here, but I'm going to put it right there, right off that trend line at 588. So that's going to be your first support. Your second one at 570. That first solid support, third I mean, is going to be here at 536 with a resistance to break of 615. And let's pull up this 20-day one more time. If we can get past that, we'll get to this double top area. And that's going to be right here, right around the 673 area. So if we can break 615, it can carry up to 673. If not, we'll have them support levels, and I'll pull this back to the 20-day where it's a better look. Nope, sure is not. There we go. Right here at 536, it's going to be your low support. 570, 588, resistance to break at 615, long 673. And that's J-Nug. Howdy, Jim. Happy Easter. Do you like Guild? Thanks, mate. It's trading sluggish and awaiting trial. Yes, I do like Guild. And I'll show you why. Guild's been in our chat room a lot. And we did have a nice little breakup to 80 bucks. I've been calling this a solid buy right around 68, and we definitely broke with higher lows. We'll pull up the 20-day chart. Right down here was my solid buy entry. I had a low support at 67.56 to 68.24 for a strong buy, and that was back in this, right in this area right here. And look what happened ever since. If you got in at that 68, you could have ran it all the way up to about 80 bucks. But I had a resistance right around 75 right in this area right in here where we had that previous high. That was my exit point. So yes, it's performing pretty good. It had a sluggish week last week. You know, there's a lot more competition. Abbott, ABT is one to watch, and Johnson & Johnson. These are my three favorite cures for corona. GILD, Abbott, and Johnson & Johnson. But we did have some higher lows right here, and we did have a higher high. And once it hit resistance, it decided to pull back to this support area. And that used to be one of my resistance areas to the 75 area. So that's like a little channel right in here. I want to see this 73 hold. If it holds, it won't break that pattern, see, of the higher lows. So it kind of did last week because it was kind of sluggish on Wednesday and Thursday. But with the news coming out of the oil, that's what kind of was a catalyst last week, was the oil sector. And Thursday, oil had a 13% bounce, and then it ended up with a 7% retracement. All because they couldn't make up their mind on the oil cuts. So I think with that misdemeanor that happened last week could be a cause for maybe a little bit more of a bear market next week, but I'm not for sure because they're still pumping that liquidity into the market. They're printing billions upon billions, and you have to because there's nothing else you can do unless we're going to go into a straight deep depression. And they've got to hold that until we start seeing the curve. And I think we're starting to see a curve on coronas. There were still more deaths, but people going into the hospitals were a lot less. So that's part of the run that we're having right now is because they think they're hitting that curve. So I'm going to just draw a trend line here. Actually, I should clear this out, but I just don't want to right yet because I still think I need these trend lines. But I want to see something here first. This is on GILD. So I'm going to go with this trend line right here. We're still looking good. If it does dip down to right around 71, and that could be a pretty strong buy right there at 71.71 off that trend line. This trend line will keep moving, mind you. Every day it goes out, it'll go higher and higher and higher and higher. But for right now, and we do have another one right here, and it failed that one, but I'm going to go with this one down here, because if I even drew it from down here, let me see what that does on the 20-day. We kind of broke out of that 20-day trend. And that could have just been, just because of the rest of the week. So yes, you see what happened on these 4 days? We had some bouncy and it did pull back. And then we had 3 good days of green. I think you're going to see that again. I think we need to break this resistance level here at 76.93. I'm going to turn that into a red line. If we can break this resistance level up here at 77.01, somewhere right around there, you can bring it up to a double top. If not, I think we're going to have a bounce on this next week. I really do. If it pulls back to this old lower support level at 71.71, that'll be a strong buy if that happens Monday. And then you can bring it back up to these red lines, the 73.33 or the $77 area. Just a little bit under it, maybe in this channel right here. So yes, I'm still bullish on this trade. It does have its little set periods of sell-offs, and when you got money in your pocket, your account's up, and you hit like this little red resistance lines on 77, take your profit. Take your profit. Unless you want to buy it down here at 71.71. And that's going to be GILD. Yeah, I know there were 770 deaths, and that was bad news, and it's so sad. It's so sad. And but they do think the curve is coming down. Yeah, I think you're safe as long as it don't go below $71. They can decay a little bit, but I think we're at a spot right here where it's a solid support level at 73 if it sticks up with these higher trends, I really like to see that hold and bring it back up to this 77. If you see that 77, think about profit. Unless you want to take a chance and see if you can ride it up. But you've only got a week left, and that stock, that's going to start decaying pretty bad by the time you get to Wednesday. So you need to make up your mind either tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday how you want to handle the trade. That's GILD. And AYTU, I like that one. We've talked about that on our video. Actually, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do, but I do have support lines already charted up on this trade. I figured it would probably pull back to 138 and bounce off that. We did get to 142. That'd be a double bottom on AYTU. And then your resistance channel is going to be right up in here between the 157 and the 177 area. If you can break that 177, you'll bring it back up to 197. But strong buy at 120. If it does dip down there, I'd be scalping it. Scalping it to 120 to 138 if that 138 doesn't break. Or if we pull back to the 138, I'd take it up to the pivot point in this channel of 166, and that's right in here. That 166. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to see if I can turn that into a red line. See if that makes any difference. Yeah, that sure does. That 166 is a pivotal area into this resistance channel. If you can break the 166, for sure it'll see 177 and maybe carry it on up to these other higher highs. I'm still bullish on this trade, but it's definitely pulled back in the past 4 days, and maybe we'll start to see it hit this double bottom and bounce back up into this channel. AYTU. Next one, MGM. Now MGM is if I remember right, is being real cool to their employees. I'm going to go ahead and erase all this. Let's look at the yearly chart. We've had a hard sell-off on it. It still is bearish even on the uptrend. We've had a higher low, so we got a resistance that we got to break here at 1646, up to a gap fill, which is right around the 1778. Support level is going to be right down here at 1356 for a low. Your second one's going to be right here at 1440, with maybe at 1514 right there. So let's pull this up to the 20-day. Support level right here. Okay, and one more down here. So we had a triple top. It pulled back, found support from that previous high. Found a little equilibrium right there, right around 1356. So that's going to be your solid, probably first support when it does pull back. Will be right around that 1352 area, 56. And then resistance to break is going to be right here at 1646. This is one that you don't want to get too excited about because, you know, nobody's allowed in the resorts, nobody's allowed in the hotels, business is bad. It's going to probably take a bailout to get it going. So we're just running on momentum right now, on the tape, on the action. So it can pull back to this lower area, 1356, and resistance to break. I say hard resistance, maybe take profit. If we see the 1646, I would probably take it there. Low support right around the 1112. So let me see if I got any messages. At 1646. So let's go to the next ticker. Anybody else have any more they want to talk about? Now I'm going to run through a little watch list that I have. I hope I've been some help to everybody. Got about 15 more minutes left. Keep an eye on the SPY. JP Morgan, keep an eye on it. XLF, these are all bullish trades. Bank of America. Let's talk about McDonald's, and then we'll talk about Disney. McDonald's is drive-through service only. We did hit my little resistance levels that we needed to hit Friday here, right around the, let's pull this up. Let's get to a different one here. Yeah, change this to McDonald's. These are good option plays. Very good option plays. McDonald's ran all the way from 124.23 all the way up to around 180 something, 186. I want to see what I wrote on here Friday. Go to the daily 1 minute. I was talking about this 200 day. EMA, and then finally it gave up a little sell off, and then bam, it ran all the way up and hit that double, triple top area and pulled back. Then we had a couple bounces back up. So I'm still bullish on this, but we got to find us a little support level, a little place where maybe it can pull back. And I'm thinking right there at 182.81 and definitely down here at the 181.47. This is McDonald's. Pull up the 5-day and see what I'm missing here on this. I was talking about the ascending triangle here that we had on McDonald's right here, and actually it was kind of, probably should have been right down here and already had the breakout right there. So low support that I want to see hold is going to be right here at 181.47. If that doesn't hold, we'll get down here to this other top area that we had at 179.21. But we've had a great run on it from 124 all the way up to 185.46. So things are overextended for the environment that we're in right now. Again, McDonald's has a good balance sheet, same as Disney, same as Netflix, same as Apple. Those are some of my top stocks. McDonald's low support 179.21. Support channel between that 179 and 76 area. Second support 181.47 with that first one at 182.81 with a resistance to break at 185.22. And let's talk about Disney. Disney it was a great play. Miss Vegas and I got in this one here under 100, and it was just beautiful. I mean, we were calling it down here at 100, and that's where I got in it at. When it went down and hit this double bottom right here, we had it right here after hours, and then we had it again right in the middle of the day. It did pull back pretty hard Thursday morning and bounced right up. So when it broke that 100, I was kind of thinking to myself, this thing's way oversold. It even got down to 92 last Friday. So we have a resistance that we have to break, and that's going to be that 109.31. But we did pull back most of the day, and I got out of the trade right at open and made some pretty good money on it. And then she pulled back into close and bounced higher after hours. So we're very bullish on this trade right now. It had 50 million new subscribers, cocooning play. And it's not just all, it's diversified. Disney's diversified. They've got the home streaming TV, and then they've got the movies that they're in. So they're very diversified. It's just not all about Disneyland. And this thing to me is oversold. And I'll show you why. I'll pull up the yearly chart. We had a beautiful run on this trade, and then all of a sudden she just kind of gave up, started descending, and then the Kakuna rush came in, the Corona rush came in and sold off desperately hard. And down here, I think this should have opened up everybody's eyes right here. Anything under $100, even if I pull up 3-year chart. We had support level at 98.34. So that would have been a good entry to get into it after this sell-off if you didn't get in it sooner. Hit that double bottom area. And that was a higher low. Then we just had a beautiful breakout on it, and she has pulled back a couple times. So here we are. We need to get up to this resistance level, I think, on Disney right around the 113 area. But for right now, you just got to play it safe. If it pulls back to the 100, anything under $100, it's a strong buy. And the resistance to break is going to be, like I said, that we saw on this 109.40 area. It's going to be very hard to break for right now. But if the momentum breaks this resistance at 106.76, strong buy under 100, that first support's going to be right here, right around the 103. If it pulls back there, you'll get a retracement back up to 106. It'll probably build a channel. And then anything beyond that's going to be a gift. unless the momentum. But this is a good cocooning stock, especially with 50 million new subscribers. Yep, we'll talk about Boeing. Boeing is one that you can follow the trend. Same as Apple. Apple will follow the SPY also, and we'll talk about Apple here in a second. But this is one that you got to give it time to find support, and when it finds support, it bounces off pretty strong. I had a support channel on this one right here at the 150 to 154 area, and you can see what happened. It bounced a couple times off that area later on in the day, and my resistance was the previous high that we had on Thursday at 156.64. Now look how she bounced up. I mean, it's a beautiful play. 150 back up to 155. Now Boeing is definitely having issues with building planes, so it's a pure momentum play. This is one that you have to follow the trend, play the pullback. Now if we get back down to 150, I'd consider it a strong buy, very strong buy. And that first, probably second support level is going to be right in here, right around the 153 area. And if it can pull back there and hold that, that's fine. We had an ascending triangle right there. And then we had, you know, the big pullbacks. And this thing can drop like a knife. So when you're up and you're feeling good and your gut's telling you, like this double top, maybe I should get out of the trade. Okay? And if we hit that again and it decides to start descending, it can descend back to this other ascending triangle that we had here. This is, you know, almost a wedge. Yeah, I'd almost consider that a wedge. A good pennant flag. Maybe a pennant flag, because we had that breakout and then you had to pull back. You have that second little bounce. That's a good sign of a pennant flag. And that could run up and break that resistance level of 156 or pull back to a strong buy at 150.54. But yeah, I think that's nice. And what else was I going to talk about? Oh, Apple. Everybody's got to have an iPhone. Everybody's going to have phones. You know, it's all about phones. So this is another one you got to follow the trend. I always say, you know, you had that big pre-market bounce. Don't start chasing these stocks if you don't trade pre-market. Let them come to you. You know, it failed once, had lower highs right into here. And that's a tendency of seeing when you see a triple top lower high that we're going to have a pretty good little sell-off. And that's exactly what happened. We had, and it just didn't want to break that resistance level here at 170.24. Instead, we had lower highs. And there, it's right there. And that was an indicator that maybe it was going to go ahead and sell off pretty hard. And it did. And once it did that, found bottom down here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that in too. And we'll look at that, see where that kind of lined up with the 20-day. Yep, there's another support level right in here. So if this thing decides to knife on back and pull back, I'd consider a strong buy here at 159. That's a $10 dip. It can do it. It can do it in a day. But for right now, you're setting up an ascending triangle on a 3-day pattern. Bam. And then you got your triple top coming up right here. So it's either going to decide what it wants to do. I could have done better on that. And I will. Okay, here we go. That's an ascending triangle on a 4-day. So this could be getting ready to break out to the new resistance level up here at 279 if we have a green day Monday. That's going to be Apple. If not, It found resistance and it's going to pull back. But to me right now it looks bullish just by looking at this ascending triangle right here. And that's a nice pattern. I mean, you had another one right here and it failed. We had a higher highs and then finally it just failed. Had a triple bottom right down here. So this could be setting up to pull back to this support level at 159.25 Monday morning, and then take the bounce back up to 270. Maybe 264 is going to be the pivot point in this channel, and that's going to be Apple. Okay, well, about time for me to head out of here. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Always remember to hit that like button down there, subscribe, ring that bell for future updates. I'll try to get some more of these done. It looks to me like I'm real dark in here. You can barely see me. Could have brightened it up a little bit, right? How's this grab you? Is that bright enough? A little bit of black and white. Some of my best photographs were made in black and whites. There we go. Probably should have had that shining in my face throughout that whole session there, but I wish everybody the best. I'll try to do more of these later on down the line. This is a live session with Washboard Jim. And I'll share your friends, you know. You can always go back and watch this YouTube channel. We're posting updates in here all the time. Always remember we do have a website. Well, where is my website at? What'd I do with it? Always go to the website. You can sign up. We do have a chat service right here. We offer a free day, no dollars for your first week. We got the setup instructions to our Discord channel here. Join the server. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You can always follow us on our Twitter page, our StockTwits accounts. And if you do, follow me here on StockTwits, follow Vegas. I'd like to get this up to 2,700 soon. Right now I'm at 26 and I'm at that threshold. And I think that's about it. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you all did too. I'm going to go ahead and sign on out. Please be careful and safe. Always remember, have a 5-step plan. You know, my 5-step plan when I first started was trying to figure out what charts were, finding supports, resistance levels. Learning the fundamentals is step 2. Technicals, I think, you know, are just as important as the fundamentals. Sometimes the fundamentals don't mean nothing, but it's always good to know if they got a good balance sheet. But even with some like Cost had them great earnings last week, and I got to get that thing out of my eyes. But I always like to look at the news. I think the news is what gives a stock momentum. Learn chart patterns, learn candlestick patterns. I think improving by learning patterns of a chart. My time frames that I use are a yearly, daily, a 20-day 1 hour, and a daily 1 minute when I'm day trading. And I always like to learn. So we've got, you know, start off if you're fresh with paper trading for 3 months or so, get around a good community, Learn, figure out 5 steps that you want to take to become a better trader. Uh, Wall Street, you can trade any way. You can come in and trade for the first 2 hours and be gone. I could do that and probably make twice as much money. I don't waste time. I don't consider it wasting time by helping others. But if I did this on my own and just sat back here and did this by myself, I guarantee I can make a lot more money doing it. Because I'd miss out on trades a lot by typing and taking my mind off the subject. But the pleasure to me, it's not about the money, it's about helping others and just seeing people make money that, especially right now, there's going to be a lot more people staying at home. And if you're a couch potato, you could be doing this from home and impressing your lady, impressing your family, impressing your mother. Uh, I wish I was back in college doing this. I wish they had computers when I was in school, but they didn't. I went to college when there was no computers. We learned how to play outside, but now I'm playing inside. And I've made a lot of good friends doing this. A lot of people. I mean, I've traveled around the country and visited people that I've met on the internet. And but gather up 5 steps. Mine was learning the fundamentals, the technicals was part of a big part of it. Um, Having patience. Patience is probably the best rule that you could learn from the very beginning. Don't just jump into a room and start taking other people's calls. Have a reason why you're getting into a trade. Um, you never stop learning. This keeps your mind fresh and sharp. Don't ever try to overtrade. Thursday, I was up $527 and I called it quits. But I stayed in the room. But I said, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. And I figured, and I've been there before, and I've come out of the gate and make good money, and then all of a sudden start trading, and I lose all that money that I made. But I could have jumped. My technical, the way I do it is I do one trade at a time. I do one trade at a time. I very seldom have 3 going at one time because my mind's not fast enough to trade like that. But if you have a fast brain, you're a fast typer, and you're a fast thinker, you could probably have 5 or 6 at the most. I know people that have 20, but there's no way I could do that. So I trade one trade at a time. That's all it takes is one trade a day, and I'm happy. And I have a good watch list. It's another good rule. Have a source. I trade off 3 different platforms. I have Ameritrade, I have Tastyworks for options, and I have UStockTrade for scalping. And then my Ameritrade account, I have 2 of them, and I'm helping my nephew trade off of one, and I trade one myself. But so having a good platform, I use that. I love Ameritrade because I can draw them charts. Interactive Brokers is another good one. If you got Weibo or whatever you call it is another good one for trading for no cost. Robinhood, I've never used it. I have one, but I've never used the account. I'm happy with just having more than one platform. I think you'll become a better trader if you have more than one platform. I know when I started at first, some tickers I couldn't play off one platform. I had Ameritrade and Scottrade. And then Scottrade merged with Ameritrade. So then I said, I want to try to find a platform where I can scalp only. And then I found UStockTrade. And if I can't get a ticker I can play on UStockTrade, I can always go back to Ameritrade. And so to me, having 3 platforms, and I have a beautiful little setup. I think you got to have the right tools. Is another one that you got to think about, having the right tools, the right platform. the learning the fundamentals. That's learning the technicals, the news, that little part right there. Number one rule is probably patience. Don't allow yourself to start jumping in trades and thinking you're. I know many egos. You know, this is my setup right here, and I just, I have a big TV on the left that I use also, and this is an older picture. Let me see if I got a newer one. I was excited. I just got me a new computer that I could hook up four monitors to, and I have another one here with a four monitor hookup. That's an old one right there. Let's see if I can find it here. Give me a second. This is my dog here. He passed away a little while ago, but I found a passion of painting. Kind of takes me off the subject of trading. So, I like to paint. If anybody's ever interested in buying any of my paintings, let me know. I'll sell you one. But I do like to paint. I'm not a custom painter. I can't find my new platform here. Well, like I said, having a good platform. At one time I had 8 monitors. I got these others turned off over here that I had on at one time. But so having a good platform, having a good coffee cup. And I got my coffee pot sitting right next to me. I just kind of not only have to walk away. I can just fill up my coffee cup. I got me one of these little lights right here that I'm always looking at, kind of inspiring me a little bit. Little neon light. So I do appreciate everybody coming out and watching. Remember, have 5 rules to trade with. Also, play it safe, wear a mask, wear gloves, wash your hands, keep healthy until this crisis is over with. And there's a picture of Vegas and I. And just want to wish everybody a great day. And I'm out of here.